going to be changing out the vessel of this CUF 2500. The first thing that needs to be done is loosen the two top screws that hold the vessel in place. This is a 3/8 inch socket or a 10 millimeter. Just loosen them till they're loose. Do not pull the screws all the way out. Then slide the bracket off with the screw attached. Next, we need to remove the tubing from the ends. This is done simply by pushing down on the collet and pulling back on the elbow. Now the old vessel can be removed. The next installation job is to follow the feed line with the elbow on it. It's connected to the blue vessel as the pre-filter. You follow this up, and now we have to remove the clip from here. Use a small pair of needle nose and turn it and snap it off in place. This is now busted. Remove the two sections, pull down on the collet again, and discard the elbow. With the old vessel removed, the new one now can be installed. First, the plugs must be removed. This will allow fluid to be drained out of the vessel, which is a preservative for shipment. Remove the plugs from both ends and let the fluid drain within the bucket from both sides. With the plugs removed now, the vessel may be installed into the system. Make sure that the tubing is behind the vessel as it was when it was removed. Locate the vessel towards the bottom. That is like finger room space between the edge and this first connector. With that in place, install the clamps. Using the same tool that you used to remove the clamps, reinstall into the same location. Cinch them down snugly, and the vessel should not move. Now you may reinsert the tubing. Follow the product tubing, which still has the connector on the end, and the feed tubing will not. Insert the product tubing completely within the system. There is a bag of clips to be installed again. Take the clip, slide it around the connector, and let it sit in place. Then take your tubing and install it firmly till it bottoms out. A pull test, both tubes are secure. The drain line, the same type of connector, slides into position and seats. Your system is now ready for startup. Now we're ready to start the operation of this system. You must have your feed line connected, your product line connected, and your drain line connected. With all three connected and the valves in all of the open positions, we are now ready to start the system. When you start your pump, before you start your pump, please close the product valve and the tank valve. Now the only ones open are the feed and the drain. Now you may start the pump and have water coming into the system. When water starts flowing through the pump, it will then be necessary to push the pressure relief valve. This will relieve air and water out of the pre-filter. When water starts to flow from the valve, release it and start the operation of having water coming out the drain line for 2 minutes. The 2-minute drain time allows air and preservative to be flushed out of the membrane. After 2 minutes of operation, come back and turn on your product valve. At that time, water's going to want to start coming out the product line. Please close the drain valve at that point. So all that's open is the feed and the product. This is in standard operation now. There will be a small amount of water coming through the drain line, as that's the cross flow across the membrane. During the time that you are actually making water, it is time to fill the backflush tank. Okay? That operation is done by keeping the pump running and coming over and opening the tank valve. As you open the tank valve and your product line is now still open, you must close the product. Now the feed water is going through the vessel and into the tank, filling. Watch your pre-filter in and out gauges, and when it reaches 30 psi, it's time to close the tank valve and open the product valve. At that time, you're now going back to operation, but you have stored water in the backflush tank for a backflush operation. To perform a backflush operation, you're going to have to shut off the pump and close the feed valve and close the product. All valves are closed at this time and the pump is not operating. You open the drain valve and then you open the tank valve. Water will start to flow out of the drain. After a 2-minute cycle and water has all dispensed out the drain line, they come back and close the tank valve and open the feed valve. At this time, now you may start the pump again and allow feed water to come into the system. Feed water will enter the system and go out the black drain line. Now you may also open the product valve and close the drain valve. Now you are back in standard operation mode. When you've noticed now that you've had a raise in pressure or the flow is not coming out of the product line sufficiently, it's time to perform a second backflush.